Hello, welcome. I hope you're having a good day. So today we're going to be reading through some Am I the Butthole posts. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, then get comfy and enjoy. So first off, we have Am I the Butthole for telling my mother-in-law to F off? So my husband Cassian, 30M, and I, 28F, have been married for 3 years and I'm currently 30 weeks pregnant. Will become relevant later. Cassian has never had a good relationship with his mum because she was very invasive when he was a kid and did a bunch of really crazy stuff to him. Constantly accused him of doing drugs, having unprotected, drinking, and so much more. For example of severity, one time after she wrongly accused him of stealing her vodka, she pressed the lid of another bottle against his mouth and said something to the effect of, "If you want it so much, then drink the whole bottle right now. Drink it," and tried to make him drink it. He left the house. She found the bottle later because she'd put it somewhere safe. Oh, wow. To clarify, all of these things were just wild accusations, and it's safe to say that he didn't have a good relationship with her in his childhood or adulthood. He has an okay relationship with his dad and a lot better than his mum, and they talk at least once a month, but it's very rare that he has contact with her now. I've met her once or twice. His family tend to have these really big birthday parties. He has 5 brothers and an incredible amount of aunts and uncles and cousins. And there was one this weekend that we both went to for one of his uncles that he was close to growing up and still speaks to now. He knew that his parents were going to be there, but figured with everyone else that was also going to be there, we could just avoid his mum or whatever worked. Yeah, you'd hope so, wouldn't you? She's like that. All was okay when we got there. We milled around for a bit and Cassian ended up going off to speak to one of his brothers, and I was making my way over to see one of his aunts when I was stopped by his mum. I thought she wasn't going to do anything at the party, so we had a conversation and she asked me about how everything is and then asked if she could touch the baby bump. I kind of laughed it off and said that I'd rather she didn't. Totally get that. I hated it when anyone even tried to touch me. I would just tell them, "Nope, don't touch me, get away." Because I'm not a big fan of people I don't know touching me, lol. Feel that. She started getting pushy and then saying stuff like, "I'm going to be this baby's grandmother and I have the right to know them and watch them grow up." You earn that right, my dear. You have to earn it. She continued and said, "I know that Cassian hates me, but that's because he was always such a sensitive child." To me, this was the point when I was just done with her crap, so I told her to F off. It just proves to me that she's not changed, that she still doesn't admit to doing any wrong and treats mine and Cass's kid with the same entitlement that she treats him. I said she had no right to see the baby, and if she hadn't gotten the clue by now, then she probably never will. I know I could have been nicer about it, but I was just done. Cass and I left, and he's not really bothered by it at all. But I know I could have dealt with it with more tact. Am I the butthole? No, she sounds like she needs putting in a place. She sounds like an absolute nightmare. I think it was quite deserved, actually. Next up, am I the butthole for leaving my mum home after she added herself to a trip I organised? I chose to organise a solo trip from my town to our family's sea house. Usually it's a 4-hour drive, but I decided I wanted to take many detours to test my recently bought car, making the drive around 8 hours long. The day before leaving, my mum, who is also in love with our sea house, heard about my plans and decided she wanted to come too. The problem is, she is the passenger driver type of person, and going 1 kilometre per hour over the limit is a death penalty for her. I love being alone and I like going to our second house because in this period the town is empty and quiet. My mum also likes the peace of this place, but she hates doing something that she doesn't like. And my drive would be restricted to going from A to B, and I wouldn't have the same degree of freedom that one gets when being home alone. So I tried telling her I'd rather go by myself. After a short talk, I left. She didn't look upset, but my sister said she called me an asshole a few times after I left. Am I the butthole? Just for clarification, if I paraphrase things, it's because it's just to make it easier to listen to, because quite often things are written quite fast, so they're not written perfectly well, I suppose. So I tend to paraphrase things just so it makes it easier to listen to. Edit how the conversation went and extra info. My father brought a new car for himself because his V6 Busso Alfa Romeo broke down. I have no idea what that is. So he gave me his old broken car and told me I could keep it if I could fix it. Took a few months, but once I was done working on the car, I started planning the trip. I came back home the day before leaving. I live in a different city because I study there. My mum told me she wanted to come by car too. When I was planning the trip, she told me she might reach me by train. I told her that I planned to make a few detours on twisty roads and many stops. She told me that she only wanted to do the highway. I told her I planned my trip long ago and I would rather stick to my plans, so I proposed to pay for her train ticket but she told me she didn't want to take the train because she needed to switch it 2 times. She travelled all her life and has a lot of experience with trains and any sorts of means of travel. That's when I said I wasn't going to change my plans because I had been looking forward to that day for so long. You could tell she was hurt, and that's why I felt guilty, even though I did all I could to get her to the beach house without completely changing my plans. I have been studying since September for a really hard exam I took on the 4th of November, and this was the only week of vacation I could take before diving back into studying for a December exam. That's why I was so determined in doing what I wanted before getting back on the books. Personally, no, I don't think you're the butthole. You planned it purposefully as like a little road trip thing, so if she doesn't want to do the road trip bit, then she should find her own way there. That's just tough, unfortunately. But no, you're definitely not the butthole. You planned a road trip. What does she expect? Am I the asshole if I refuse to participate in any of my co-workers' baby showers? I work in social services, and the majority of the people I work with in my organisation are women. I am a woman in my late 30s with no kids and no interest in having any. We've been having a lot of baby showers, and most recently I got an email with not 1 but 2 different staff members' registries for gifts. I don't want to go to a party at work where I play kind of weird, gross baby shower games, and I don't want to spend my money on them either. Will I seem like the butthole if I just ignore everything? I wish them all the best, but I just don't care to participate. I hope they are happy and healthy when delivery comes, but keep that stuff away from me, please. Yeah, no, not the butthole at all. I don't get baby showers at all. I find them a bit just odd. Just if people want to buy you stuff, buy you stuff. But, different strokes for different folks, isn't it, really? If it's not for you, then don't go. Definitely not the butthole. Am I the butthole for not letting my sister bring her kids to my child-free wedding, even though they're family? I, 30F, am getting married soon, and my fiancé, 30M, and I decided to have a child-free wedding. We both feel like it's our big day, and we want it to be an adult celebration. My sister, 35F, has 2 kids, and when I told her about the child-free policy, she was really upset. She said that as a family, her kids should be allowed to attend and that it's unfair to exclude them. I explained that it's not personal, but she's pushing back hard and even threatened to not come if she can't bring them. I'm sticking to the policy, but now there's tension in the family. Am I the butthole for not bending the rule for her kids? No, absolutely not. If you don't want kids at the wedding, you don't want kids at the wedding. Have a child-free wedding. If I was to ever get married, if I ever did, someone needs to check me psychologically because I am absolutely not about that life. But if I ever did, then I certainly wouldn't want kids there. It would be a lot of booze, a lot of fun, a lot of just adult shenanigans, just being little drunky poos and having fun. I wouldn't want kids there and having to look out for kids and having them running around my feet, knocking stuff over and all of that lot. And I have kids. See, I know what a nightmare they can be at formal events. That's why I don't think they should be at formal events, personally. Now, obviously, some people are very much like family orientated where kids are involved and they're like, oh, kids make an event. And that is fine if that's your cup of tea. It's just not mine. And I don't think if it's not somebody else's, they should be forced to do it. No, even if they are family. Am I the butthole for not joining my dad and his wife on mini vacations for my sick stepsister? That's a tongue twister right there. Did you hear how I struggled to say that then? Oh, goodness. I, 17M, live primarily with my mum, and I see my dad 1 weekend a month because he's lived 4 hours from us since I was 9, and my sister, 20F, was 12. Last year, my dad got married again. His wife has a 7-year-old daughter. She might be 6, with this rare chronic blood issue that has affected her heart. It could be terminal if she doesn't get the right transplants, and she's a rare blood type, and they struggle to get the match for her. I think bone marrow? But she's also waiting for a heart transplant. I don't know all the details. I'm not that invested in my dad's life or the stuff going on with his new family. I already sense the tension. You could cut it with a knife. I am with them 1 weekend a month, and I try not to let the disinterest hurt the kid. This means she has bonded with me, even though it's totally one-sided, and I think it's because her life has revolved a lot around her health and hospitals, and she doesn't have a big family or friends because she's rarely is healthy enough to go to school. Ah, bless her. With all that said, they take her on mini vacations when she can and when they can afford to. My dad wanted me and my sister to join in as often as we can so his stepdaughter can have the family around her just in case. Like, in case she doesn't survive. Wow. I know she wants me there. My sister has never met her, so I'm not sure she cares about her. But my dad does, and his wife really effing cares. Well, of course she does. It's her daughter. She surprised me, but she cares. They invited me on like 9 already, and I never go. I never want to. After the last one, his stepdaughter ended up in hospital and was so sick. They were angry that it could have been it and my sister and I weren't there and didn't make it extra special for her. They asked if I wouldn't feel awful if she died and I didn't get to say goodbye, that I didn't make her final moment special. Am I the butthole? No, that's not on you to make her final moment special at the end of the day. I understand where they're coming from, that they know how much she cares about you, the stepdaughter, so they kind of feel mad that you didn't come, but at the end of the day, if you don't want to go, they can't force you to go. It's not your responsibility to make the child happy, it's theirs, and you can't help the way you feel at the end of the day. If you don't want to go, you don't have to go. Would it be nice if you went? Of course it would. Absolutely. If you don't want to, though, they can't make you. You're nearly an adult now, so it's one of those. It's another case, isn't it, of what you see a lot on these Reddit posts where the parent is trying to force their kid to care about the new step family. Well, if you try and force that things, it's never going to come. It's never going to happen. In fact, they'll just push further away from it. If you just let it happen naturally and don't force it, then it might be different, but you can't force these things. It doesn't work that way. Am I the butthole for missing my friend's baby shower after she was 4 hours late? Wait, after she was over 4 hours late to it? What, to her own baby shower? Okay. Am I the butthole for being ready for my friend's baby shower an hour before it started? Started 4 p.m. and was ready at 3, and the friend whose shower it was wasn't ready yet. I kept calling to check, texting, etc. The friend wasn't ready until 8 p.m. and finally texted me to come to the shower. I waited 4+ hours and I told her I could no longer attend. Now she's mad. Am I the butthole? What? No. Like, how was she even 4 hours late for her own baby shower? What? More info. Also, I called her around 3:45 p.m. to let her know that I'd be late about 15 minutes, and that's when the waiting game started. I didn't go to the venue because I don't know her family well or the other people that she invited, and I didn't want to be there awkward if she wasn't there yet. Oh god, I absolutely get that. Like, if I'm going somewhere and I only know one person, I will not arrive there until that one person that I know is there. But to be honest though, I tend to avoid going to social situations where I only know one person there because I just find that really, really awkward and I don't like it. So no, you're not the butthole. Your friend though, what is going on? Your friend needs to get a lot better with dealing with, being on time and getting ready and what have you, because she sounds terrible at time management. Am I the butthole for yelling at a nurse to get a wheelchair for my husband? For short background, my husband has epilepsy. He needs to take some medicine in order to keep them under control. Recently, he's been given a new medicine called Aptiom. It's a new experimental medicine, his neurologist's words, not mine. And for about half a week, my husband has been doing great. Then came the side effects. It started with vision blurriness, which got so bad he needed to feel his way to get around. Ooh, scary. Then there's today. He started vomiting so much until there was blood in it and he couldn't walk without assistance from the family or needing a wheelchair. That is very scary. When we got to the ER, the nurse asked us some questions, i.e. what's wrong, what kind of medication was he taking, etc. And after I told her everything, including him being unable to walk, the nurse tried to make him stand so we could go to the other room. Why? She kept telling him to get his footing right and coordinated. I kept repeating myself to her that he needed a wheelchair before snapping and suddenly yelling, "Woman, he needs a wheelchair." I mean, you could have been harsher, to be fair. She got the wheelchair, and after hearing my husband tell me that I was being mean and to apologise to the nurse for my behaviour, I started to feel bad. Actually, I still feel bad about it. So am I the butthole? No, I think at the end of the day, if you'd already told her that he can't walk and that, he needs a wheelchair, she should have just got the wheelchair. I understand that, nurses and what have you are under a lot of pressure, but if you literally had just said he needs a wheelchair and then she's like, "Come on, chappy, up you get, start walking." Like, no. See, there's good nurses and then there's bad nurses that just don't give a crap and don't listen. At the end of the day, sometimes if you're panicked as well and you're stressed, things come out. So I'm sure you said sorry for snapping, but at the end of the day, she was not listening to you. Edit. My phone is now fully charged, and after reading a few comments, I realised that I left out some important context. That's my fault. Before we got to the ER, we found my husband in the kitchen, sitting against the refrigerator, throwing up and looking paler than a ghost. Our uncles had to help him into the car, and once at the ER, I had to ask the receptionist for a wheelchair while our aunt had to help him to get close to the door. The nurse saw me wheel him into the room while he threw up in one of those blue vomit bags, and that's when the next few minutes happened. I'm sorry if that confused people. I wasn't thinking while I was typing it out. Well, yeah, she saw him get brought in on a wheelchair, so why is she making him try and walk? I don't understand people sometimes. Am I the butthole for cancelling a surprise trip after I was asked if I would be okay with my son's stepdad adopting him? I have an 8-year-old son, Matthew. His mum is married to Gary and they've been together for a few years. My ex can no longer have any more kids and Gary really wanted some. Because of that, Gary lavished Matt with lots of attention and affection. I'm fine with it. Gary even got Matt's name tattooed on his arm. Okay? Yesterday, Gary was going to take Matt on his first real weekend camping trip. It was going to be a surprise. On Wednesday, my ex said they'd been working on something and wanted to discuss it with me because it was going to come up on the camping trip. I asked her what the F she was talking about. Gary said he loves Matt and wants to adopt him as a tri-parent. In my state, a step-parent can adopt a child even if the child already has parents. Basically, Gary would be an equal to me and my ex. He said he thought about it and my ex agreed. He said he is so in love with that kid that he wants to make it official. Nothing would change, and if something happened to Gary, and then Matt would definitely be taken care of. He wanted me to say yes and then surprise Matt on the trip. Then we'd begin the legal process. Oh, this sounds like stepping on your toes quite a bit, doesn't it? I said no. I think you need to take a break from Matt. I'm not interested in sharing the front seat, so you'll remain in the back seat. It's too weird. He was pretty upset at me saying no and cancelling the trip. Thanks for teaching him archery and washing him when he threw up on himself last week, though. Yeah, see, I understand that Matt is like really close, but he can just be a good step parent. He doesn't need to be a tri-parent or whatever it is they called it. That's really stepping on the dad's toes who is fully involved in the kid's life already. No, that Gary is is it Gary? Yeah, Gary is stepping on your toes incredibly here. You're not the butthole. I don't blame you. I would not feel comfortable with this either. It's really weird. It's very, very strange. Definitely not the butthole. I agree with the answer of no. Definitely. No. He can't use your kid to basically play parent is what I'm saying. And that's kind of what he's doing because he can't have his own. Which is not right. Okay, last one for the day now. Am I the butthole for taking $6,000 from the sale of a house that my girlfriend and I both owned? Me, male, 38, and my girlfriend, female, 37, bought a home together to live in with our kids. I have one daughter and she has 2 boys. She sold her previous house and put all of that money into buying this house with me. She couldn't get a mortgage but made great money and basically put all of the dollars down for the down payment and moving expenses. We both paid the mortgage and started a joint account for the house. I started the account and put $5,000 in it, and we each added the same amount each week to cover the bills and anything for the house. Living together was a mistake, and she sent a text one day while I was at work that she talked with a realtor and was putting the house on the market after 8 months of living there. Wow. They do say moving in together will make you or it will break you. The house sold quickly for about what we paid, but not before the first buyer backed out. After the first buyer backed out, she left me to pay the mortgage and utilities for the empty house. After a year and a half, we were awarded the first buyer's down payment of $32,000. I haven't taken any money from the sale of the house at this point, and I think $6,000 would be fair. My ex thinks I should only get what I paid for the lawyer to fight for the down payment, which was $2,750. I feel $6,000 is fair. Like I said, she put a lot of money down, and even though the house sold for a similar amount, she still lost a substantial sum of money. Am I the butthole? If you were paying bills, like all the bills, whilst it was just sat there doing nothing, I don't see how you'd be the butthole. To be clear, we bought the house for $630,000. $630,000? That is what that says, isn't it, right? I'm not being really stupid, am I? Possibly. Listen to me. I already am definitely being really stupid. We sold it for $620,000. My girlfriend took all the funds from that transaction. Prior to selling it for $620,000, we accepted an offer for $640,000. This buyer walked away and her down payment was in escrow for about a year and a half. We had to go to court and they awarded us $32,000, which was her down payment. The lawyer cost $5,500 and we split that $2,750 each. No, I don't think you'd be the butthole, because if it was just sat there for ages and you were paying the bills on it, again, that must have been a lot of money that was just flying down the drain at that time. So no, I don't think you're the butthole for doing that at all. I can't see why. But also, I'm not very good with mortgages and all that sort of stuff and maths in general, so don't take my word for it. And I think for today that is going to be it. Thank you very much if you made it to the end of the video. I very much appreciate it. If you would like to give a like and subscribe, that would help me very, very much. And that way you can find yourself back here then for more videos, because I'm going to post one every single day. Other than that, I hope you have a very good day. I am freezing cold, so I'm going to go and bundle up in my duvet. It is probably going to snow later, apparently, so we will soon see on that one. Quite often it says it will, and then it never does. But yeah, I hope you have a very good rest of your day, and thank you for listening. Goodbye.